movie last night?
I would say it's a lot of Instagram notifications. A lot of Instagram notifications, a lot of random texts from family members, and leftover pizza from the night before. I
Sounds
think,
like a newsroom.
yeah, it was the funniest thing I think was like I had the least luxurious premiere day as well, because the day that it premiered, I actually went and got my oil changed in my car. So
That sounds just fabulous for a
exactly
debut.
right. The life of luxury, really.
So tell us a little. All right, so it's Secret Life of the Pastor's Wife. Now, this is not the first appearance you've had in some movies or in some video stuff, commercials, etc. But this is really kind of your first lead. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's my first lead in a feature film.
So tell me a little about this movie before we get into other stuff here.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit without trying to spoil too
Right.
much. I play Angie Martin, who is the wife of Jim Martin, the renowned pastor of a small town. And you see kind of at the beginning of the film that they're maybe not in the greatest place. And she finds somebody who actually understands her and is there for her. And then a lot of stuff happens. And basically, I would say it's a story about how your secrets catch up to you and how actions always have consequences.
And this was on Lifetime. So it aired on the Lifetime channel last night. Now it's available after that. How people can go and watch it and stream it now? Is that right?
I
Or will be
believe
able to?
Yes, so it's on the Lifetime app. So if you go on the Lifetime app, it's streaming right now. And then I think, but I don't want to fully be quoted. I think it
Right.
should be available on other streaming platforms after that. The previous one that I did, Surviving the Sleepover, you can actually rent it on Amazon or watch it on Hulu. So
Got it. Got it. Okay. So probably as time goes on, it'll be available in other places.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So tell me, how did you were born and raised right here in Nelson County?
Yeah.
How did you end up in LA doing movies?
Oh, wow. Well, it's sort of funny. So I guess when I was a little kid, my idol was always Britney Spears, and I wanted to be a
Mhm.
pop star. Like I was like, I'm getting in dance. I'm gonna be the next Britney Spears. And kind of slowly as time went on, I kind of like lost the dancing bug as much. It wasn't as like competitive, I feel like, as I wanted it to be. And then I was actually a super, super shy kid, but I we had to recite poetry like in my elementary school. And then that kind of got me out of my stage fright. And then ever since then, I just like we were kind of forced. I went to Tandem Friends school in Charlottesville, and you were forced actually to do theater when you were in middle school. And so I like did something in seventh grade. We did like a sketch comedy thing. And then ever since then, it was just like the theater bug. And so when I finished college at VCU, which I went to for theater performance, I decided that film was where I wanted to be. I just loved movies so much, and as much as I do miss the theater, I just there's something that's so fun about being on a film set, and it's for me as an actor, it's some of the most challenging work that I've ever done is working on film sets because you're so out of sequence and everything. You really have to be on your game.
So you did commercials though. I've seen at least one of those
Yeah.
before. So you kind of did some of that leading into this.
Yeah, so my first commercial, like what I would really kind of consider my first professional job was a commercial I did in 2020 for Ipsy, which is like a beauty subscription service. And that was kind of like my first time where there were like, like 30 people on set, like you're just the one. It was also shot in COVID, which was like so interesting because we were all in masks the whole time. And I had to wear a face shield because they didn't want to ruin my makeup. And I think commercials really helped prepare me. Like I love commercials because they're so fun and you meet so many cool people. And also they're a really, really great like training ground for being on set and getting really comfortable with how much randomity and like switching it right on immediately in front of a group
Right.
full of strangers and being comfortable enough with yourself to like fail or act kind of dumb or, or just do
Right.
something really mundane and not make it look
Right.
weird picking up a product.
So what is it like going from little old Nelson County to living out there? And you mentioned COVID. I want to get back to that in a minute, but um, what's it like making that leap?
It's definitely a big leap because, living in Nelson, you're My dad, I think, always says we're like, what, 10, 15 miles from like a stoplight, which is so
Right.
funny. Because where
It's
I live
true.
right now, I've got two Starbucks that are 7 minutes away, a 7 minute walk.
Right.
So it's out of egg bites at one Starbucks. I can go to the other
Right.
Starbucks. So it's definitely a transition. I feel like for me, the great thing about like, because I went to college in Richmond. And so I also feel like that prepared me a lot for like city living and knowing your surroundings and things like that. But it's definitely, a huge jump. And I would say in like whenever I'm in Nelson or even when I'm back in Virginia, it always feels like a little bit of a culture shock because people in the South are so, so nice. And we're just always like chit chatting in like grocery
Right.
aisles, or like people are saying hi at lunch. And in LA, like people are much more like reserved and like focused on what they're doing at that moment in time. Like you're so on a mission at the grocery store, you're not really like laughing and making jokes with the people next to you. So I would say it's just very, they're just different speeds. And so it's funny to kind of like when I go back and visit my parents and then come back to LA, the differences between the two cities.
And to mention, we hadn't even talked about this, but your parents, that's Jim and Jennifer Rice, who are dentists,
Yeah,
been here over 30 years doing dentistry
yeah,
in
yeah,
Nellysford and in Crozet and other locations throughout Virginia.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because I mean, I was born and raised, grew up in the same house, but even as I was like, when I was little, I kind of just always knew that I wasn't going to settle in Charlottesville. I wanted to go to a big city really, really badly. And then it's really funny because as I get older and the more time I'm in LA, the more I like do miss the country and like the quiet and like how much space there is. Like my parents have this like beautiful acre of land and the dogs run around everywhere. And when I'm
Right.
here, I walk my dog on a leash and like you
Right.
definitely it's like when you're a kid, you're like, why would anybody be here? And then when you get older, you're like, oh my God, it's so nice. It's so peaceful. It's so
Well,
quiet.
that was sort of my question. What is it you just answered it basically, what you miss about not being here. So it's that pretty much.
I feel like the thing that I miss the most about being in the South when I'm not in the South is the food. Like straight up. Like I miss
Yeah.
like good Southern food. I miss the waitresses calling me cutie and sweetie pie and getting like a huge breakfast for like $15 that like I will never ever be able to finish. It's
Right.
like it's the little things like that, like, a good like tea or like like really silly things
Right.
I feel like I
Yeah.
missed the
Well, it's
most.
true though. You go to these
Yeah,
other places and they don't have that. And
yeah,
it's kind
exactly.
of shocking to think it's that way, but it is.
Hmm.
So, what's next for you? Do you have any idea?
I don't. And that's kind of the exciting thing sometimes. And also the scary thing about being an actor is you kind of don't know what your next gig is. And so you like finish up and you wrap up. I know what in 2 weeks I'm going to be at the Sunscreen Film Festival for my short film Next. And then the week after that, I'll be at the Beverly Hills Film Festival for Next as well, which I'm super, super excited about. And then in the meantime, just auditioning and trying to get to whatever is the next thing.
You mentioned Next, and I want to hit on that because
Yeah.
that was really the first thing I had seen that you had done in its entirety. And I got to see a sneak peek because I know your parents way back
Yeah.
before it really started hitting all the festivals and everything. And I was completely and totally blown away. Now, you wrote that too, is that right?
I did. Yeah, I produced it and I starred in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. And I'll have to say, I mean, I'll say it again. It was just an incredible film.
Thank you.
How can in your course of telling me about Next, how can
Yeah.
somebody see that now that just wants to see it that's not going to a film festival? Is there a way, or do you have to be at a festival right now?
Right now, you have to be at a festival. I haven't kind of decided what I'll do once the festival route is done. I think we'll be finished like with festivals by the end of 2024. There are really funny game festivals because there's a time limit and also like, we shot Next February 2022 and we didn't actually finish making the film until like early 2023. Like our
Right,
post-production took a while. And so like then you lose that year of like festival submissions and things like that. And then you really only have like a year with it. And so it's like this
right,
really funny, like way of doing it. But I, if someone's like really nice to me, I'll usually send them the link,
No,
the
right,
protected link, and I'll be like,
right.
you know what? Like, if you're trustworthy, like, I will give it to you. But yeah, right now we'll do festivals, and then who knows? I'll probably make it. I would like to make it open to the public if I don't like get it distributed, because I think it's great work, and it makes people feel a lot, which was the intention of it.
Is there any chance you would ever turn that into a full length film?
I toy with the idea a lot of making it into something more, because the more and more festivals we go through and the more people I talk to, the more it feels almost like a proof of concept rather than just a short film. Because I think that, especially when I wrote it, I've never kind of written something where I felt so strongly immediately.
Hmm.
Like the moment I wrote it, I was like, I have to make this. Like, this is gonna be so good. I feel like people are really gonna like it. So I think that what I'd love to do with it is make it either like a feature film or like a limited series is kind of, I think, where I would see it lying one day.
And you mentioned, and we'll kind of wrap it up here in a sec. You mentioned COVID. You were
Mhm.
kind of out there you got into this as COVID was kind of starting, right? I mean, you'd been out there
Yeah.
for a little while, but COVID hit, and then it all got turned upside down.
Yeah, I feel like I was like sort of like starting to hit my groove. Like, it was
Right,
like me and my friends often joke, like, I think I had one friend and she had gotten a huge audition like the first week of like 2020, and she was like, 2020 is gonna be my year. And
right,
then like everything
yeah,
hit. And we always laugh about that. And I'm like, that's sort of how it felt for me. It was like I finally got like a manager, and I finally got an agent, and then everything like
then it hit.
and it was so, it was so uncertain. But I will say, like, during COVID, I really took a lot of time. Like, I remember because I went back home for a little bit, so I was in
Right,
Nellysford for part of it. And I remember I would just sit at my laptop and I just started like sending emails like to casting directors and making lists of people that I wanted to work with. I think I
right,
started writing, and then in 2021, me and my friend Nina Madzarov, we released our first like web series called Trash. So it was like, even during that time, even though it was like such a slow period, I feel like I really took a lot of it to, get educated. I watched a lot of movies. I was in an acting class at the time. And so I can look back on that time honestly, and I feel a little bit happy with saying that I didn't totally like succumb to everything, even though it was
right,
a really rough time for all of us. But some
right.
projects were still casting, which was good.
So you're following in the footsteps. Nelson is kind of known for a couple of celebrities here and there. Certainly Hamner, which way predates you, but highly successful and came from here. There's another Bibb that's
Yeah,
from
Leslie
here.
Bibb, I love
Yep.
her.
Yeah. Have you? I mean, do you two even know each other?
No, I don't know her, but I'm obsessed with
Right.
her, so I would love to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you probably will cross paths eventually.
I hope so. I really, really hope so, because I'm such a huge fan of hers.
Right. So, have I missed anything?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think those are kind of like my big highlights and the things that I'm like working on right now?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking time
Of
to sit and
course.
chat with us, and I know folks back here are going to be excited to see this.
Oh, yay.
All right.